JM Race Engines is a new business in north central Missouri that have you covered from top to bottom for all your engine needs. Purpose-built engines with the correct amount of clearance will get you to the end of any show, whether it's your local shows or on the national level, where you can't be let down by your equipment. With top-level professional machine work to all engines, your choice of build is totally up to you. JM Race Engines will give you the confidence to push your equipment to the max while giving you your preferred horsepower to boot. From LS builds all the way to your exotic level small blocks that your imagination can only dream of, they have you covered.
But it doesn't stop there. They are also a speed shop that carries a variety of heads, carburetors, intakes, plug wires, helmets, and other safety equipment, and the best VP fuel on the market today to take you to the top. So if you're wanting mild build to wild build, let JM Race Engines help take you there. Ladies and gentlemen, Hard Nosed Derby Podcasts. Sunday night, I'm off.
Off Sunday night because you didn't get home until Saturday, so they actually white people and give you an extra day off.
A little bit.
This is going to be a little bit different. We're going to get our guest on first.
Yes.
So let's make that call. We'll be right back with you.
Triple B's Tees offer custom shirts and logo designs for all your apparel and merchandise needs, offering a variety of shirts, hats, hoodies, tumblers, and koozies. Triple B's will work with you one-on-one to personalize and perfect your logo. With over 5 years in the business, 20 years in the sport, they live for Demolition Derby.
Chunk and his crew can bring your imagination to realization with zero limitations. So for all your badass tees, choose Triple B's. So we just said we'd get somebody on here that knew a little something.
And I might not know anything.
Wreckless Promotions one and only Logan Dowhy. What is up, Logan?
What's up, guys? I don't know shit.
All right, well, thanks for getting on here, man. We appreciate it.
Dude, we kind of touched base on this show last week a little bit. This list that you have got going this year is fucking insane, dude.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, so I've had a lot of people tell me that. I'm not Facebook set. I'm not on the Facebook machine anymore. I don't have Snapchat. And honestly, the crazy part is I kind of just gave the role of the registrations and everything to my wife this year. And I didn't even, like, I had people, Chris Collins called me. He's like, hey man, what can I do this, and this? I'm like, what? I didn't even know he was running. Because I hadn't looked at the list. Unless people told me, I didn't know. So I seriously didn't look at the full, and I still don't know some of the people on there. But I didn't look at the full list until it was posted. So, I mean, my wife's got a spreadsheet, and it's shared to me. It's on our drive on Wreckless Promotions email, so I could look at it any time. But I never really. Just busy with everything else in life, and
well, you talk about that. That's pretty cool. That I mean that's the best way to stay unbiased, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I still couldn't tell you every limited weld team or bone stock team. I mean, I know some of the names that are coming, and obviously people that call and ask rules questions and stuff like that, but. Yeah, I guess you could say it's pretty unbiased because I just want to have a good show, you know.
Well, with the driver's list that you got, I think you're gonna have it.
Well, yeah, and you know the wife, she kind of got a little emotional the other day. We had a second. The kids were sleeping. We sat down. We were talking about it a little bit, and this show we have literally built from absolutely nothing. And so for it to be what it is today is pretty special to us. I mean, we didn't have any outside help along the way.
That's that.
You know,
it's like it's like raising a child.
Yeah. You're kind of, you're pretty proud of it. I mean, it's definitely got it's a roller coaster of emotions. You know, you're happy, you're pissed, you're ready to quit, and you just keep carrying on. Like this year, I was pretty unsure if it was going to happen. You know, last fall I was banging out my Gold Rush car, and I was just kind of fed up with derbies, to be honest with you. And my wife, she's like, "Fuck you, we're doing it."
Well, that's what happens when you build a 12,000-pound wagon, motherfucker.
It was a little more than that, but that's okay. How do you know that?
I was there, fool. Remember?
Yeah, it was heavy.
Okay, so let's get into this part. This winter, you made a post, or your wife made a post. Rule changes were going to happen, but what you did is you actually sat back and said, "Hey guys, we're going to have a meeting. I want you drivers who run my shows consistently, not just that one dude who shows up once every 3 years to run a show, to talk about some rule changes that they would like implemented." And you, to my knowledge, dude, are the only one that has ever done that on a national level.
So I was tired of being the one that was blamed for this rule and that rule, and I'm like, you know what? These guys can just start blaming each other. You know, and that's truly what it was I want them to have what they want, and the majority is going to have what they want. And there's some guys that still call me and they're like, "This is so stupid." And I'm like, I get it, but you should have been at the rules meeting. Every vote counted. And so what we did was I went through and wrote down lists of things that were always brought to my attention that the drivers wanted or they didn't want or whatever it was. And I put together about a list of about 30 to 40 things per class. And I sat down and my wife and we typed up ballots, a voting ballot for each class. Each one had approximately 20 items on the ballot. It was multiple choice, so A, B, C, or D. And every single option had current rule. So let's say, bone stock. I tried getting bumper brackets for these bone stock cars, like a 10-inch bumper bracket, and it got voted out by the drivers. I tried getting weld-in upper ball joints for limited weld. I think we're still the only limited weld out there that you cannot weld in your upper ball joints. You can still have big ball joints, the ring, but the ring's gotta be welded to a plate, and the plate's gotta bolt in. It's just silly. It would save so much time, but the drivers voted it out. So, like, I want to say the way the ballot was is so let's say the ball joint one. How would you like the front suspension rules to be in year 2025? That's not how it was worded, but
that's what was implemented. Yes,
and it talked about leave it the same, which is, and then it would tell you what it was. Or option B was big tie rods, big ball joints, weld-in ball joints, don't care, all the big shit. And then option C was just big tie rods, leave ball joints the same. Which that's what it ended up getting voted in, was you can now have big tie rods, but ball joints stayed the same.
You know, sometimes when you let them have the kitchen sink, you would think that they would go ahead and accept that and want to do that. So I'm sure that was a major curveball when y'all looked at these ballots and were like, what the hell is, what?
I was surprised on some of the stuff, like the DP. So we added DPs this year. Nebraska Limited Weld, to my knowledge, has never had DPs. And we added DPs this year. I I like them as a driver. I like them in bigger, heavier builds. I don't think they belong in certain style builds. So I was kind of on the fence with limited weld. I'm like, if you truly want to protect that investment of your drivetrain, your engine, whatever, then you should be willing to cut out the firewall. Well, I did give the options of leave the firewall in, remove the firewall, and then there was also, because it was like question 12 was, do we allow DPs this year? Yes or no? Well, then it got voted in. Question 13 was, if the above question, if question 12 gets voted in, what are the guidelines going to be to be able to run that DP?
Mm-hmm.
A, completely leave the firewall intact. B, remove the firewall in line with the DP. Or option 3, which is what got voted in, was you have to remove all sheet metal within 3 inches of the DP. So there should be a 3-inch gap everywhere. Anyways, doesn't matter. It was an idea of mine that it was talked about for years. There was a driver's meeting in Nebraska probably 15 years ago in York, Nebraska. I remember going to it, and all it was arguing the whole time. And I said, I'm not going to have that. I'm going to give them something to vote on, and this is what you get, or this is what you don't get. There's no other options here.
Well, that's what it needs to be, cut and dried.
Yes, and it was. And it went very, very smooth. I mean, I had free beer. I had free pizza. They came out.
Shit,
it was like,
known that.
right. It was like 2.5. We ain't got enough pizza for your fat ass anyways. Sorry, I had to take. Lord, I apologize. So it was a pretty low key, relaxed type deal. It was a little short notice. It was only like a month or 3 weeks notice. Some people said, "Well, I can't make it." I mean, if it's that important to you, you would figure out a way to make it, and that's what I told a lot of these guys. So, I mean, it sucks because, we were just talking about Chris Collins. He's not going to drive from Wisconsin to come down here and vote on the rules,
That he's only going to run one show.
Yeah, so the requirement was you had to have ran a Wreckless Promotions show in the last 2 years in that class to get a ballot for that class. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, say a compact guy ran compacts last year or ran compacts in 2023, and then 2024 he moved up to bone stock. He was able to vote for both classes.
Okay.
And have a say. So I think we're just going to continue to do it every year, and it's probably going to be smaller scale changes at this point. But I don't really, the rule sets that we have now they're pretty decent. I really like them. They're pretty heavy for my liking. We just as well rename the classes. I mean, to be honest with you, bone stock should be limited weld, and limited weld, I was going to call it mod light, is what I was going to call it. Mm-hmm. And I never changed them, but it is what it is.
So, okay, this is a little bit of a curveball. I went up last year and hung out with you guys, watched a hell of a show on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This year, you guys moved it to Easter weekend, but then accommodated to Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And it's on the outside arena at the fairgrounds, just like it was last year, and not indoors like it was in 2023.
Correct. So, somebody had an error with the fair board or with the fairgrounds. Last year, the week after Chaos, I went into the fair office. We finalized all of our paperwork, all of our stuff, that we had to do. And I said, put me on the books next year for the same weekend. And she opens up the scheduling book, and she's like, yeah, that one's open, no problem. I didn't see her write it down at that time, and she never did. So it came like August, And I called her up and I said, hey, we're getting ready to start advertising Chaos. I want to make sure we're on the same page. This is what we're looking at. And she's like, no, we got wrestling that weekend. You can't, that's not going to work. I'm like, what? Yeah. So it was definitely a crunch. It was either going to be, my only options were like this weekend that we're having it, or the same weekend that UD had that show up in Wisconsin. What was the name of that one?
Badger?
Yeah, Badger Nationals.
Badger. Yeah, Badger.
So it was either that weekend, the weekend we're at now, or in like the middle of May. And I'm like, no, I don't want to get into May. So we went with this. That's why we tweaked it and started it earlier on Saturday, so that hopefully we can all be out of there and done by 6-7 o'clock Saturday night. Even the guys that have a 12-hour ride home, they can make it home for Easter Sunday with their kids and their family. And that's what I was after with the whole thing. Like, I'm going to Easter with my kids no matter what. So,
so you're starting this thing on Thursday, and you're going to do 3 team classes just on Thursday night. You're
it's like
Limited World, Bone Stock, and then Compacts?
Yep. All the team events run their heats Thursday night, and there's like, I can do the math for you quick. Let's see, there's 14 Limited World teams, so there's 7 heats. There's 30 Bone Stock teams, so there's 15 heats, so there's 22 heats, and then there's 6 or 7 heats of Bone Stock Compact. So there's like 28 heats on Thursday night. And I'm here to tell you, like, everybody's like, well, I'm going to go Saturday. That's going to be the best. I'm telling you, Saturday or Thursday is by far going to be the best part, going to be the best show.
I mean, it was last year on Friday. You started pretty early during the day, but it was still, these dudes were going out and fucking just sending them. DeSoto, that I've never saw in person, he was sending it. Derek Court, an old iron caddy versus a new iron caddy, how that shit plays out.
That was a one-hit wonder.
But I think the prick got a check out of the whole ordeal, though.
Yeah, that guy. You know that guy? He's kind of shady.
Yeah, I know him a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
So, dude, what are you looking forward to the most for this week?
It being over.
What I'm looking forward to is Sunday. Next Sunday, a week from today. No, I'm just looking forward to seeing people. Like I said, I don't have Facebook anymore, so if it's not my normal group, the CPI guys or WAD and the postal guys, I really don't communicate, Fetro, I don't really communicate with anybody else in the derby world much anymore, unless it's at a show.
And I didn't even realize you were off of Facebook.
I have a Facebook page, but I deleted the app because I'll be frank with you, I was Wreckless Promotions was about ready to just be done, because I couldn't juggle life, the towing business, everything that I had going on, and then I'd get on there and there's some clown pissed off because I broke his stick because he full tracked somebody in the driver's door, and he's on there bashing me. And I can usually take that stuff and I'll just be like, dude, shut up, But it was just getting bad, and it got to the point where I'm like, you know what? This is eating me alive. I gotta make a change. So that's when I made that change. And yeah, people miss me on Snapchat. I know that because I was doing my motivational speaks all the time on Snapchat.
Yes, you were.
Yeah. So, but it's fine. I get a lot more shit done in a day. I promise you that. I'm actually working on my nephew. Just turned 16 last month, and he's running a youth bone stock compact and a youth bone stock full size. And so for his 16th birthday, I gave him a built turnkey 74 Buick to run youth bone stock full size. So
oh my,
yeah, we're gonna see.
Pretty good birthday.
Yeah, it was. So it was actually Bubbles that works for me for the towing business. He ran it last year in the bone stock team, and went out and just got his ass kicked. And took a bad 45 shot on the driver's side rail, and it walked the front rail over like 8 inches. So I had to get it all straightened out. It's all straight now. I'm putting the front clip back on, and somehow I got to wedge a passenger seat in this thing. I don't know. His mom's riding with him, so I might have to strap it to the roof or something.
Steven has wanted to do that before. Strap it to the roof.
I tell you what, if one of you come up here, I'll put a bench. Actually, both of you come up to Chaos, I'll put a bench seat on the roof, and you two ride up there.
I am coming Thursday, and I promise you,
think about the video.
that my fucking ass will not be on the roof of a bone stock car.
Damn it!
Promise you,
Pussy.
You're right.
You're right, pussy.
Smart pussy.
I mean, to really answer your question, what I'm looking forward to the most, is trying to keep everybody happy, which we know is impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly look forward to, the people that are like, hey, this was a hell of a show. Just the compliments, when all the hard work pays off.
Yes.
We've been fighting and battling this track. I've got my best friend, he's literally been working this track for a week and a half, like 12 hours a day. And I was out there with him yesterday from 5 last night till midnight. And it's coming around. I mean, we hauled in 17 loads of clay, 17 side dump loads of clay this year, because last year we had some issues, some soft spots in the track, and I don't want it.
Yes.
Like right now, there's spots on that track that you're just going to leave black marks. So, I mean, it's coming around. It's getting there. But we're not happy with that.
Last year, this show was actually 2 weeks before it is this year. So,
Yep.
we never really got a warm spell. It was kind of cold and frosty and just shitty.
Yeah.
And the
Yep.
wind was blowing mock Jesus in Nebraska.
Oh, yeah.
The dust and shit was flying. And everybody knew where that soft spot was, because really it was only in one square area.
Yep.
But the other people would use that for the advantage. They'd nose up somebody and just start shoving them back, wait till they got in the gas, and just watch them buried and then back the fuck out.
You're right. I mean, I don't like to say that it worked for people's advantages, but it did. I mean, if you paid attention to where it was, and that kid that won the raffle car, my mod car, he went barreling through there about 9,500 RPM, and he made it, but
he didn't fuck around and go back for the second time though.
No, he didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
So the track's gonna be way better this year.
Well, the track is ginormous.
Yeah, the track is big, and so we actually did something a little bit different. Like last year, we for the heats. We split the track in two. We put tires, big like implement tires down the middle to split the track in two, and it worked pretty well. But you would have a dead lag time when you had to reload that far end of the track and clear everything off. So what we did this year is we actually knocked a hole in the north berm, and there's going to be an entrance and an exit for each end of those heat tracks, so that literally those bone stock and limited well heats will be 100% nonstop. Like, as long as it takes us to walk from us officials to walk from one track to the one next to it, that's your only lag time. So
that's what we did, and it worked out fucking killer.
Except for his fat ass was a wore out bitch.
Oh, I was a wore out motherfucker.
Run, bitch! And he was like, I can't.
I was like, fuck, dude, I give up. I need a fucking golf cart. I need to look like old George Sims back in the day.
He ain't running unless the cops are chasing him. What are you talking about? Or
And then if the
there's
cop
a
better
cheeseburger.
the cop better be pretty good size if I'm running that.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a few changes this year, like to the track and stuff, but other than that, I mean, it's pretty well the same concept. Another thing I'm pretty excited about is the auction this year. So I started an auction 4 or 5 years ago. I don't remember. Let's see. I think this is the 4th year of it. I mean, it's always been kind of on random weekends and whatever I could make work and whatever. Last year was the first year I tried to tie it with Chaos.
Yes.
But the only way to make it work was like Wednesday before Chaos. Well, we didn't have much of a live appearance, but my thoughts were, you know what? I mean, it might be good for business. I get these people to buy cars that weren't going to come watch the show anyways.
Yes.
And now they got a reason to come watch the show because they bought a car. So it kind of worked in that aspect. But this year, with the way we formatted, kept it at 3 sessions, but it's 3 days instead of 2 days, one day having 2 sessions. So now we have Saturday morning open. We are able to put that auction in Saturday morning. We're going to cram it in Saturday morning at 8 a.m. and hopefully be done by noon. That way we can start the show on time at 2 o'clock on Saturday. I mean, Saturday is going to be a long day with lots going on, but I think it's cool to have everything at one spot. The auction, and where the auction cars are this year, they're literally right there. I mean, they're right next to the track pretty much. The road that you pull, the pit road that you pull in, they're all lined right along that pit road.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, I mean, they're 100 yards straight east of the track, and there's a whole row of them, and guys can kind of linger around and look at cars all weekend and decide what they're going to spend their money on. So that was kind of cool to be able to put it with that. But the people that can't go, they can still bid online, and they can watch it on Derby Nation TV. They can watch the show on Derby Nation TV, then they can do the auction online. So, yeah. I'm just trying to do everything that I know I would want if I was a driver or a participant. And I think we're finally getting there. This is year number 6 for Chaos. And if I have it my way, year number 7 is going to be it's going to be a big change, but it's going to be I'm just putting a spoiler out there. It's not even going to be in this town. So,
well, the thing that we like, and I think I've told you, at South Dakota, is being that you're a driver and a builder too, you have a little bit more relevancy on keeping your finger on that said pulse to know kind of what needs changed, what needs tweaked, what needs moved around. Because last year's show, other than the little lack of action when you were trying to get the track cleared on both sides, that's the only thing bad anybody said. I never heard anybody bitching about the tech. Said Derek Court, he cut for hours, which he knows he always does that.
Par for the course. Fucking cheater.
Have you ever met that guy? He's sketchy. I told you that.
Yes, 100%. Like, I wouldn't trust him as far as I can throw him.
No. He texted me a picture yesterday, and he says, "I don't know how I'm going to do this. How do I do this? How do I do this?" And I just responded with, "Sure." And he's like, "Really?" So yeah, no, being a builder and a driver,
driver in quotations.
Yeah, more of a builder for sure, definitely. I actually got a text the other day. We run a little team show here in central Nebraska that's like an invite only deal, little small town brawl kind of deal, and the teams change every year. It's a random draw for your teammates, and I was in this group text the other day, and it sounds like we're having to replace a couple drivers because people are getting old, dropping out, whatever it is, and the guy that's kind of in charge of it, he texts back and he says, preferably a decent driver. He's like, I mean, we let Logan in, but yeah, like, you cocksucker.
I'm bringing the wagon, bitch.
Well, yeah, I'll bring a wagon. Well, that's what sucks is it's a metric only show.
Oh,
gross.
Yeah, so I took a metric caddy the last 2 years,
Yuck.
and it did fine.
Find you a Roadmaster wagon.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fun, honestly.
And then just send that bitch in reverse one time, because that's the only time you're going to go in reverse is once.
Hell yeah. So being a builder and a driver, in quotations, I think it helps a ton of knowing pretty much everything that kind of goes on, whether from the tech side to the actual track to, how drivers are going to react to certain things, especially in tech. You have to give some grace. You have to. I try to never be a complete prick. I don't know if I can say I've ever actually fully loaded somebody. Like, I'm trying to think back there was some cars a few years ago at Chaos that were really close. Actually, there was one that I'm not afraid to talk about now. I think he probably would have got loaded at any other national show. And I want to talk about it because I feel that everybody should have that opportunity to fix it if they're willing to fix it. And it's not, I don't think it's ever the officials or the tech's decision to say, well, that's not even fixable here. Bro, it depends on how good of a positive mental attitude that sumbitch has.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to cut the front stub out of a car and pull all that iron out of the frame and put it back together, that's more power to you. So this one that we're going to talk about, and I have to tell you about it because it was, and I'm not going to say who the driver was, but it was a wagon, and it was at Chaos, and this dude had his center bar. And I looked, and I thought his center bar was mounted kind of funny. It didn't meet the dash bar. It went underneath the dash bar. And I was like, okay, that's weird. So I start looking, and I'm kind of peeking around, and there was a little tiny 1/8-inch gap between his roof sign and his halo. And I could see something in between there. Well, so then I was like, that's weird. What is that? Well, and then he had a piece of inner tube hanging over his dash bar, like protecting some wires and stuff or whatever, where the firewall's cut out. And this was a limited weld build. And so I start looking, and I pull that inner tube up, and there's like a 4x4 1/2-inch thick plate there. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. And I go over to the halo bar, and coming out of the bottom of the halo bar into the back seat bar and then runs up into the car is hydraulic lines. This dude had an electric over hydraulic ram in that center bar that pushed forward up to the back of the midplate. And here's the cool part. His roof sign was the hydraulic reservoir.
Yeah. I knew where you were going with that.
Yeah. So, and he had it all ran on like little, they were almost like Milwaukee batteries, but they were something like that, like little 12-volt ones. And yeah, everything was pretty well hidden and so on and so forth. And at any other, I think, national show, had they found that, they would have just said, no, load it. We're not putting up with your shit.
Yep.
But I don't, why though? Like, why? Sure, everybody's cheating. Don't tell me they're not. Everybody's trying to get the edge.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's cheating. And like I had somebody in here the other night, we were talking about it. And I said, well, when I build a car, I cheat 100 things and I get caught on 30. And of those 30 that I get caught on, 20 of them I made blatant and obvious to distract from everything else.
Correct.
This dude's hydraulic ram was the thing he was trying to not get caught on.
Yes.
Because he had a bunch of little shit, that we were catching. And when we caught him on that, he's like, he just looked at me. He's like, what do I do? I was like, well, you tell me. And he's like, well, I'll load it. I'll go home. I was like, no. I see you and I are going to go back in the pits, and you're going to push that thing out, and you're going to start cutting. And so we did. I went back there with him. I went back to his pit, and I watched him cut it. And I had him push it all the way out, cut more, push it out, cut more. And that thing was like 5 foot long in there, dude. Yeah, so, and I got it to where, it wouldn't function anymore, and, but anyways, that's just kind of I guess that's where I feel like myself and my tech crew stand a little different than other tech crews out there. Like I've heard at some national events where cars are half-inch too short up front and they get loaded.
Mm-hmm.
That you're not giving them an opportunity to cut their bumper off and add a half-inch?
Correct.
Or, why, though?
Yep.
They spent the last 3, 4, 5 months of their life building this car to put on a show for you, for your fans, for your crowd, for your event. And you're going to tell them to go home now? And they pulled 10, 12, maybe only 3 hours, but still.
Which we know a lot of guys. We know a lot of guys. Which it was all over television. Chance Ogden goes to Heber a couple years ago, and he had his rear rails capped. He cut the fuckers off.
Yeah,
cut them off
to run, and he cut them off. So what people is willing to do to fix their fuck ups.
That's what I always tell myself when I'm doing something. Am I willing to cut this? Because there was some stuff that I was going to add to my Gold Rush wagon, but I was getting down to the wire on time. It was going to be really time consuming. And I actually had a conversation at Capital City Carnage with Chris about it. And I said, Chris, this is what I was going to do. Would you let it go? He's like, it's one of those, the rest of the world's going to see it. You're going to break the internet, and I'm going to get beat up over it. But you're right. The rule does read this, and it was huge, especially on a wagon.
We had to load a guy one time for being too short, but it was like 9.5 inches too fucking short.
Yeah, not everybody's got 9.5 inches of frame rail in their front pocket, so
right. Yeah, the guy's like, well, it's a little short. I was like, oh yeah, we'll work with you. And he showed up, and I was like, your fucking bumper bracket goes past your spring pocket.
Santa Maria.
Yeah,
it was all the way back.
Oh, it was terrible. It was fucking insane.
Well, you said no, motherfucker. We said we'd work with you, not add a foot.
Yeah, I pulled the message up because he was like, I was like, dude, you said it was a little short. I was like, you're missing half your fucking car.
Right. Did it fall off on the way there or what? No, so that's probably I'm probably known for being an asshole when I need to in tech, but at the same time trying to give some grace to, especially a bone stock style build. Man, if you got a tack weld here and a tack weld there and a zip screw here and a bolt here,
Is that shit going to win the Derby?
No.
Bingo.
But I hate that saying. Is it going to win me the Derby? No, but I'm here to tell you, if you were to add 1,000 zip screws to that car in the right spot,
yep,
then you might have some.
Yep.
But so yeah, it's just drawing the fine line of, I want these people to run. They paid money to come here, and do this, and without their money, I'll be frank with you, without their money, we don't do this show. It does not happen.
Mm-hmm.
The entry fees doesn't even cover half of the purse.
Yep.
So if I didn't have that entry fee money, then unfortunately this just doesn't happen.
Yep.
But it's just like going and, you go play blackjack, you put down $20, you got a chance at winning 40.
Mm-hmm.
You put down 200 to run in a derby, you got a chance at winning 10 grand. I think your odds are a little better than blackjack some days.
That'd be right. So these guys can get a pass Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Weekend pass or individual days. And if they can't make it to the show, DerbyNation.tv, they have single and weekend passes for that as well.
Which is where I will be watching in the hotel.
And 8 a.m., the auction this year, right before the show. So,
8 a.m. Saturday morning for the auction.
You gonna take a trailer with you?
No, I'm not taking a trailer with me.
Fucker.
I don't think I can pull that in my work
pussy.
car. I don't think I can pull a trailer with my work car.
Take my dually.
Not with that attitude.
Tow truck.
Yeah, I can sell you a tow truck while you're here.
No, you tried that shit last year.
I want to roll back.
No, damn it. 6 p.m., 6 p.m. The times to know. Here we go. The times to know. 6 p.m. Thursday, 6 p.m. Friday, 8 a.m. Saturday, 2 p.m. Saturday. So 6
You heard
p.m.
it first, folks.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right there it is.
Right there it is. etix.com. Go there. You can save. You're not going to save any money on pit passes. Well, actually, you are. Because I think on etix, a weekend pit pass is $90. If you come to us, it's $90 cash, but like $94 with a card. So you'd save a little bit of money, but I do know that general admission is like $25 per session or $65 for the whole weekend. That's pre-ticket sales. If you do it at the event, it's cash only. And I believe it's $30 per session and $75 or $80 if you want to do the whole weekend. So
save some money, boys. Get on them e-tickets.
Save some money. Get on e-tix. This town is packed full of hotels, so I'm sure there's plenty of hotel rooms still. But we do have 2 host hotels that are sponsors. That's New Victorian Inn and Best Western Plus.
New Victoria Inn, I can speak for that. Place is clean. It is nice, and it's a very, very reasonable for your prices.
And you can get it by the hour.
And the best part, oh boy, get it by the hour.
Just because Andrew said.
The best part is Andrew Haney, Derby guy. Him and his brother own that. Mm-hmm. So that's the cool part is
Supporting
they're always
community.
Yeah, they're always willing to support us. And
is there any strip clubs close?
Strip club? I don't know. I didn't even know. Oh, there used to be one out here. Yeah, I mean, we could probably get you a little something going on at my shop. I don't know.
No, this prick is staying home. No.
Oh, okay.
It's just me again.
Damn it.
I can't. It's work, man. I don't know. Start having winter shows. I don't fucking know.
Right. Right.
Well, brother, we're gonna hit on some list stuff here. We're gonna let you get back to welding and all that neat shit, and we will see you Thursday early afternoon, sir.
Thanks, girls.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
See ya
later.
Since Justin has been on board with us at Hard Nose, we have figured out how much Broadhead Decals means to the sport of demolition derby. His great quality parts are seen from coast to coast and everywhere in between.
But he can do more than just derby products. Your everyday business may need some pep in its step with new banners or stickers. And just give him an idea and let him run with it. Whether it's business related or just want to look badass in the winner circle, let Broadhead Decals work for you.
We do.
There it was.
I mean, I don't know if he knew a fucking thing or not, but he talked like he did.
Well, the what I like, which when I was talking to him at Gold Rush, I asked him, I said, hey, is Chaos the same time? And the first thing he did was look at his wife. She confirmed because he didn't want to fuck around and give me the wrong answer.
Right.
But being, Logan is a business owner. He knows how do you word that? Divvy up the jobs.
Right.
So he trusts his wife to do all the goodies. Like he just said, he didn't even know the list.
That's hilarious. Which we can touch on that just a little bit.
He's a fucking nut.
We can touch on that list just a little bit. Let's hit the high points. Big names coming at you. Stacked ass list like we've never seen there.
Yep.
You know, not saying that they didn't have good drivers and it wasn't action packed and shit, but I mean, whenever you've got Mr. 5X
With a Prusman.
yeah, and then you've got Derek Court, you know, defending champions.
With a Jarek Eddy.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna see fucking Chad Markley in a bone stock car.
In a bone stock with Russ Mollering. And then you're going to see Cody and Wyatt Oberly, who rep like a
Dude, we got
bitch
to watch
last
them
year.
here.
Oh, yes. Dylan and Cody Coranda. Nick Altmer from WRP. Nick Simpf and Ashton Duden from Team NLR.
Team America.
Yeah. Yes.
So I mean, the list is there, guys. We're not gonna go through the whole thing, but just type in Wreckless Promotions on Facebook, and it's the first post that pops up.
You know, just like the Limited Well 2-man, which he did say that's probably a little bit more than the Limited Well that we're used to.
Well, we've talked about it. It's more that 13, 14 mod rules that we've seen. I know I come back to that a lot, but it is. You're seeing that bumper bracket. You're getting the welds, but what did he just say? You're not getting all of it.
That's right. You know, like CPI, you've got Nathan Gill and Shea Bob on the limited side. You've got Zach Johnson and Chris Collins on the limited side.
Team ass kickers.
Tanner Workhoven and Zach Ponzer.
Yeah, I mean, so the names are there.
Duo drivers. This is what's kind of cool. Nathaniel Gill and Torrey Hyde.
Yeah.
And I think Nathaniel is Nathan Gill's offspring, I believe. I could be completely wrong.
What about Shea Bob?
Yeah.
Pulling double duty.
Yes. And then
Kenny Rosno.
Dookie.
I mean,
yeah. Oh, shit. So there, Noah Sarnes and Justin Sherman. And if you have Noah Sarnes on Snapchat or anything like that.
balls to the wall.
To something with a 5-speed
Yeah.
in a duo car.
Yes. How cool is that?
Ho. Let's not make this so much hard enough. Let's just add another pedal
Yeah.
plus a big stick.
Why not?
You know, this show, guys, is going to be, I mean, they've got limited weld singles. They've got youth bone stock full size.
Yeah, but I see like the duo bone stock thing. The second feature, the team rev limiter. Like you don't name your team something like that. you know what I'm saying? Like you see where I'm getting at.
Oh,
with
yes.
this, right?
It should be LS on the chip.
I bet it is
the entire
all night.
time. Yeah. But, you know, like what we talked about with Logan was that, you know, we were talking about the DeSoto last year. There was a couple of DeSotos I never saw in person, and holy shit. Wow.
It's crazy to me the people that are pulling double duty.
Shea Bob.
Yeah. You know, Shea Bob, Kenny Rosno is running the light weld singles as well. Dude, they're having a mod class. And look at that list.
Yeah.
You know, Aaron Harrington's on the list for that.
Levi Markley, Craig McCracken, Chicken,
Yeah.
Noah Sarnes, Derek Worth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
It's just this is going to be a show, boys and girls.
dude, limited world singles.
Yeah.
You know, you hit on Kenny Rosno. There's Chris Williams on there. There's Cody Knuth on there. There's Jeff Court on there. There's Trey Grismore on there.
Yes.
Oh, dudes, this thing is going to be off the hook. If you do not want to make your way to Kearney, Nebraska this week, DerbyNation.tv.
If I wasn't going to be on a boat, I'd go.
If you wasn't going to what?
I'm going to be on a boat.
What the fuck fuck you mean you're going to be on a boat?
We're doing a dinner cruise thing with the kids.
I thought maybe you were going to, like, go on a cruise or something.
Fuck no, you know I'm not doing that.
That's why you threw me the curveball about getting on a boat. I'm like, motherfucker, you don't
No, it's
boat.
the fucking the Missouri River Bridge, the fucking Mississippi Made of the Mist type bullshit.
Okay, some of that Hannibal to Louisiana and back shit.
Yes,
Okay, okay. All right.
I could swim off that bitch with both kids.
Yes.
Okay, let's get into it. Spring X, baby.
Whoo, boys. Started on Thursday. Went to Saturday.
Shit was wild.
The
Bone stock feature, there was parts.
there was some really good parts of every one of those, and then there was some really boring ones.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, like, I could see Josh
Steaming.
Like,
you could see
he's
steam
like,
off his hoodie.
on. Move, motherfucker. Like, and just from talking to him, you know that he was up there just,
Oh yeah, just pissed.
we won't ever do this again. Like,
Just pissed.
I know that we're gonna have to touch on some more of this like next weekend.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where we're at on time, but we're moving on up in there. I've got to skip some of the heats and stuff. I mean, we can drop back and talk about it, but let's talk about Sam Bando waving in the cavalry. It's time to go on the wagons.
We did talk to Adam a couple years ago, and at that point in time, Adam and the whole team had headsets.
Yeah.
Well, what was crazy, it started out as normalcy. What we have seen the last 3 years.
100%. Dude,
EPR,
yep.
Toast Inc., they're on one end, Derby
Misco.
Builds and Misco
Yep.
on the other. Last year, leave it to Adam. They kind of got a couple of them sucked down there. Next thing you know, all hell breaks loose.
And dude, the pace was decent. It really was. Starting out, I mean, and we go back to this, the first 15, 20, 25 minutes of this Derby were looking good.
Yep.
Everybody was straight lining it. Good hits. Everybody was almost like building their cars out there.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I seen the wagons. They were getting the quarters packed.
Yep.
They were doing what they were doing. You know, the imps were trying not to do imp stuff.
Yes.
They were trying to make straight shots, not wanting to knock the steering off.
Which
of it.
Sam did that in the heat on Friday afternoon.
Yes. But you hope, and you know that he was thinking the whole time, like, okay, I got that out of the way.
And now we can fix it.
Yes, and now I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it again. And dude, he had steering for a long time.
Yes, he did. He had steering until a wheel left the track.
Yes.
I don't think he had full steering, but you can watch
yes.
both fronts.
Yes. Well, it was like Patterson.
Oh, Patty?
Yeah, and dude, turning it all the way up, and then fuck, and it was everything.
Yeah.
The spring,
Spring left the chat.
the upper,
Left the chat.
the spindle.
Left the chat. Still attached to the fucking wheel.
Yeah. And whenever all that goes, you've got nothing, no more.
But what I liked about that is I'm used to seeing Patty in a Ford there. You know, in a Vic.
And I bet you see him in another one because I bet he's like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I might not have had steering, but at least fuck wheel would have stood.
Yeah,
up.
it was cool to the part that we were sitting there watching this thing last night, and I was like, you need to keep the camera on this end.
Yes.
Because I could see them kind of working
They were.
one way, and I can see Bob and them kind of working towards the middle, and I was like, we're going to have about
Shit's about-
1 minute, and then all hell's going to break loose.
And you did. It was almost like Bando was like, all right, let's go. And he come in with motherfucking authority,
With the turnouts wide open.
screaming.
Next thing you see is PJ doing the same thing from the middle of the track, and then you see Adam, and then you see Patty just try to annihilate
I don't know where
Brandon
he
Johnson
was even headed, but that way.
to Brandon Johnson
Yes.
that way.
Yes. And had he not clipped that back,
I think he got Dusty's rear or Chase Timmons' rear, and it
yes,
just
it ripped the whole.
it went off.
Because where he was headed was going to be a good one. That wagon moved just a touch, and that's all it takes.
Patty got one really good one in on Brandon right after Sam did his deal.
Well, and then here comes 20X. And because everybody was like, well, there's half of EPR, and then we were like, oh,
there's the other.
there's
two
the rest
more.
of it.
Craig was doing Craig stuff. He was doing Godfather shit. He was down there on the end, and about that time, all you see, I think you saw Adam drop out.
Yep. And then
03
PJ
problems.
was turned sideways.
Yep.
In the middle of the track, and then here come
Craig.
Yeah. Let's introduce him to the boy.
Yes.
And here he comes. Because PJ, I love watching that retard run. Because I watched him.
With all due respect, homie.
I watch him go from one end of the track to the other, turn that bitch around, and he is head on a swivel. I mean,
Looking for the next target.
I'm ready, and then he finds it.
Yep.
And you seen bunny hop that bitch plumb up into the headers.
Yes. It was, once that switch flipped,
It was on.
that's when that show turned so good.
I really like watching Bando run too.
Oh, yeah.
Because that dude,
He's full tilt retard.
100%. I honestly couldn't. Like, I never thought about him being on EPR, but it makes
It makes a lot of sense.
way fucking sense.
Yes. Yes.
And especially after the Snapchats that I got over the weekend. Like, he fit in
Oh, yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, they,
And rumor has it, Adam is still stuck in that trailer to this day. That's why it scares me to. You don't want to slip up around PJ because he's
oh,
gonna
no.
fuck with you.
Bad.
Like 100%. Fuck, today we get a Snapchat and he's chasing a fucking goose.
Come here, you little motherfucker. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That those.
And what's crazy is he's got a boy coming up that's going to be.
He's already a handful.
Yes, 100%. And PJ deserves every drop
ounce
of
of
it.
it.
I feel so sorry for his old lady.
Z,
yeah.
you're fucked.
But is she? Because she's just as crazy as
She
he
is. Yeah, I think she brings it on a little bit too. But that's the good part, and that's the good people in the sport that can go and have fun.
Did you see the beer come in frame?
I saw a water bottle come in frame.
I want to imagine that in my head as a beer. Because it would have been a lot cooler.
But we're going to give it up to Misco Cranes.
Yes.
It came down to Bob Whitaker, Chase Timmons, and Tyler Hill of WFO.
What'd we say?
Tyler and Brock,
What did we say?
Terrace Lacey, Scott McAdams, them dudes can... I know what you're saying. Brock and Tyler can adapt to whatever. And that's what makes them good.
Well, yes. We called that shit
Oh, yeah.
100%. And the dudes kept their nose clean the whole time. Whenever that whole EPR, Misco, and Derby, whenever all that shit was going down.
They're like, no, fuck that. Let's stay down here.
No, it reminded me off of A Million Ways to Die in the West, whenever that bar fight breaks out. And them two are over in the corner. They're like, oh, we're doing our own thing over here. Like, no need to get involved in this. Like, we're getting beat up pretty bad over here.
Correct. No, we're kicking each other's ass.
Yeah, like, don't worry about what we're doing.
There's those times where you've got to, I mean, and it's not bad feelings
There's
or
no
nothing.
dishonor in that. It's just keeping your nose clean. Fuck, that's how you pull the
This ain't,
dub, boy.
this ain't my fight. Fuck that.
No. No, if you don't have a dog in it,
Why get in it?
100%, unless you just want...
Go have all the fun.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the, Derby builds. Chase Timmons. My recollection, I've never seen him in a wagon either.
Well...
And then he said it was a $75 wagon, which I'm pretty sure Chase is full of shit when he said that.
Which was crazy to me. All four wagons, that were, I mean, there was more than four wagons, but all of them were in line.
Just doing wagon shit.
Yeah. And did you see Whitaker's wagon after it was over? I mean, they were working on that wagon.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. We talked about...
Whitaker earned
He did. He earned every bit of that win.
He had to drive that one.
Yes, he earned every bit of that win. He did not have that handed to him.
I honestly think, you know how we've talked about building the perfect Derby driver. You know, you take this from that one and this from that one. I want to know, because I've tried. I mean, I've run, you know, several Derbies, run different kinds of cars and whatnot. I always end up taking some kind of stupid shot. Mm-hmm. Like, it don't matter. I don't care if I have watched, if I can see him coming, I can't get out of the way or whatever. How does he protect the front of that car? I mean, it's ridiculous.
It is.
I watched people lined up on it, and it looks like they're going to wipe the clip off that bitch. And
Yes.
somehow he gets it hidden.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he takes a shot in the passenger door.
Yep. Not a wheel. Till we go watch him at Gold Rush,
Right.
the year you went 2 years ago.
Yes.
And
They beat the front end plate
they
off
beat,
of
yeah,
it.
beat the fucking wheels off of it.
That is an anomaly.
Yes, that's one
You
in 100.
you don't see that happen to
Yeah,
him.
1 in 100. Same way with Don Santel.
100%.
He doesn't give you those shots. We've seen Durham give you those shots. We've seen Dusty Gilgus give him those
Yes.
shots. Brandon Johnson, Chase Timmons, Luke and Ryan.
And nothing against those guys.
No.
It is insane how, like I said, the front end is hidden all the time.
Mm-hmm. And it bent. It was up.
It did.
But it didn't go moon.
What
up.
I'm talking about is the front fenders weren't touching the headers.
Mm-mm.
The upper A-arms weren't laid over. They weren't bent. Ball joints weren't broke off of it and shit. He was still turning the fucking thing.
Yep.
Like, it is insane, the skill, I'm going to say it,
That it's a skill.
to hide the front end of that bitch.
And I think that's what makes for such a good show, is because, you know, you've got,
We watch Chad Markley. He does it too.
Mm-hmm. But Misco Cranes, Misco had a little bit different look
Yeah.
than
yes.
normal. You know, they had Dusty instead of Timmons.
Which I don't know that I would have called Dusty being in a wagon.
Me either. And to my knowledge, very few times Durham in a wagon.
Right.
Usually it's a sedan. I mean, I know he's been
I understand why.
Yes. All the real estate.
Yes.
I got to run this bitch twice.
And you've got plenty of room to turn that bitch around on that track.
Because they made it another 60 foot longer.
Yes.
And that helped tremendously. Give them 30 foot each way. PJ
could have turned around 3 times.
Yes.
Where he was at.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he did twice.
But when you got those guys such as like EPR, and then usually Misco and Derby builds are a little bit more low key. They'll get with it. I mean, Ryan and Luke will get it on.
Whenever it was time to get it on,
it was time to get it on. Yeah.
They're usually not the aggressors. They don't start it.
Mm-mm. Nope. Ryan found that out last year. He came down the end there a little sooner than he probably should have.
Yeah, but dude, that was like jumping in the middle of a dog fight.
It was, and then AB and PJ put him on the wall, and that's where they commenced to beating him.
Yes.
Until he was done, and then they moved on. This year, it happened a little quicker.
But they made them come to them.
Yes, but the line was drawn in the sand. What's going to happen? And here the fuck we go.
Everybody knew.
Yes, everybody knew of. Oh, shit.
But it made for a show. Mm-hmm. Because, Taylor and Josh, the whole time they were standing there watching that one, they were like,
"Yep,
this is why we do this."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't even have to usually.
I ain't gonna lie, I was yelling at my TV a little bit.
I had a couple of guys in here last night, and they were like, "This is sucking." I was like, "Dudes, give it 5 minutes."
That's what I told them. We were sitting at the house this morning watching it. It was me and Daniel, and we were sitting there watching. He's like, "Damn, this." I was like, hold up. I said, just wait. I said, there's 2 different derbies going on right now.
Yes. I want to give it up to Bad Company, the Ninja Turtles. They pulled a 4th off, and little boy got a wheel man. Dude, they had asses of Lincolns that were completely gone.
Yeah.
There was a rear end and a gas tank protector. That was it.
Cool,
and run
though.
that bitch all the way down.
Cool, though.
Oh, yes.
Well-deserved.
Yeah.
Every drop of it, because you could tell they didn't ever pick a side.
Nope.
They picked a shot.
Not
They
a
never
side.
picked a side.
Yep.
And they were smart about it, because there was a couple times that I seen they had a shot on PJ But Sam was
very close.
And they're like, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I don't want to do that. You're good, smart call.
Same deal with Dusty.
Mm-hmm.
I seen where they had a good shot on him a couple times and was like, ugh.
Yeah, well, Durham's. I'm
sitting
looking
right
at the
there,
ass of that wagon right now. And,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to do that.
And
because
if I
you're gonna
take
put
this
yourself
shot,
out
it's
there.
going to put me at a 45. Yeah,
Yep.
I don't want to be there.
Yep. There is science behind madness.
Oh, you fucking ain't right.
know.
What's crazy to me is Adam, PJ Craig, and Sam have run on the same track.
But not all four together.
Right. Dude, it was like they had run.
It was like nothing. Friday, it was like they've been doing it for years.
Yes. But the cool thing about that whole team, and honestly, it don't matter if it's Knorr or whoever is AB, whoever's on that team, it is fucking insane. You don't ever see one of them take off the other end of the track. There's not another one lurking somewhere.
Close. Like in sight.
Yes.
Hey, I'm just going to keep an eye on him.
No, he's
and
good.
then,
He's good. Oh, no, they're fucking him up. Not wrong.
Zoop.
Coming that way.
And then one goes, the rest of them go.
But you see the same shit with Misco.
Mm-hmm.
And Derby builds.
Yep.
So you take that team setting, like some of them, it doesn't look authentic. You know what I mean? Like
They're struggling. You'll see them hit each other.
Yeah.
Like friendly fire type of shit. It's like these dudes know, and then you throw in Toast Inc. with Patton and Atkins and them guys. It's like those
was a
guys
cool look
worked.
for Toast, really.
Oh, it was.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, last year Toast is all. I was thinking all four of them were in VIX last year.
Yes.
And you got a couple old iron GMs plus a couple VIX.
Yeah.
Minus some suspension issues, self-inflicted suspension issues. Yes.
Seen it all weekend.
As soon as Patty did that, I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, I bet you weren't doing it no worse than he was.
No, he was. I'm sure he was pissed. I'm sure he was fucking.
Well, you could see he was mad.
Yes.
In the car.
But what is cool? His daughters ran together on a team for the first time on Friday. Sent them to Jesus. Both of them snooted like a bastard. But they had a blast. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And then you got youth class on Saturday evening. We kind of hit on it. CJ Klein, Cam Penwell, what we would call the dream team when we were talking to Josh. They had their work cut all the way out for them.
Because nobody was cutting them no slack.
Brandon Vera was there by himself because Tyler Williams couldn't make the trip. And then you had this other kid that was, I thought he had something for him.
What was crazy is they did not let Little Klein breathe.
No.
It was almost like they got out there and they were like, okay, we got, like, the little turd can drive.
Yeah.
Like, he knows what he's doing. Because they would never let him get out to do
what he wanted to do.
Right.
Constant pressure.
Yeah, he was having to pick and make shots immediately.
We watched the asses of those cars start to go down. And Drew was sitting in there with us. He said, whatever they did to the ass end, I don't want to follow that. Because they were both. Yeah. Cam's kind of started to go down after it rolled a little bit. But it didn't really
honestly
hinder.
Looked like to me that the suspension was a little softer than what maybe they had thought whenever they did what they did to the back of those cars.
Yes.
I don't know that for a fact. That's me talking out of my ass. But just from what I saw, that's what it looked like to me. Because it looked like instead of... Usually whenever that more solid suspension, whenever you hit, it'll pick the car up.
It didn't. The car was
floated.
Yes.
They were floating down.
But he never took a real shot, what I would say, dead square to the ass. It was a bunch of bumpers to quarters.
Yeah.
Really fucking that. Oh, yeah.
Weird shit. Because I've actually seen that where you dimple or you have notched. If you take a weird shot where somebody almost hooks it, and it'll pull where you notched apart, and whenever it does that, it pulls down on it.
Turns into a Twizzler.
Yeah. And then whenever it comes down, it won't. Like, it will not go back the other direction. It'll start dropping them. But that's a whole nother
What was cool?
Dylan Simonton rolled somebody.
There was a little Hard Nosed Derby
That is
podcast
cool.
sticker
That's cool.
on the fenders of said cars. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Simonton. Let's talk about that.
When you're running against a bunch of buddies,
What a stacked ass heat, first off.
yes, that makes it a little bit harder. And then you flip the dude.
I knew it was coming. And I was telling everybody that was sitting in the living room whenever we were watching it, I was like, hey, what? I said if he can get that, if he doesn't finally snoot his shit where it's dragging the ground, I said he's going to turn that car over.
Yep.
How do you know? I said the geometry's there. I said he's finally pushing up on the fucking roof of it.
Yep. Yeah.
And here it went.
Tink. Yeah, there was some crazy, insane hits for that whole show. And if you weren't there to watch it, DerbyNation.tv.
You can go rewatch it.
Rewatch it, dudes.
I know I'm going to.
Rewatch it. Well, thanks, Logan, for getting on.
100%. That's going to be a badass show.
Dickhead.
Homo.
Congratulations to everybody at Spring Explosion. I don't think Josh and Taylor are disappointed with the show.
They ought not be.
And I'm going to guess they're going to sell out again in 15 seconds again next year. So we're going to
How
let.
would you like to be, just before we stop this, I got a question for you. So you're doing pretty good on your local scene, Derby, and you and your buddies, kind of been doing that 1-2 thing, season and a half. And you're like, man, I think I want to step up. Let's go to Spring Eggs.
Whew.
How, I'd be like, nah.
What makes you want to do that? Is that kind of what your question is?
Yes.
I don't think that. I don't.
Or is that not where they're going? Are they going to pick a different 2-man show? Or a 4-man show?
Look at Walker McCrary. Long-time listener. Met him over there a few years ago the first time. Him and his dad. Walker run it down to second. There was a bad call made, in my opinion, for that. Shit happens. I talked to Walker.
Yeah.
He's kosher as
dude.
shit with it.
And that's why it's not our problem.
Correct. He's like, yep, I said, just time to roll on to the next one. He said 100% correctly. In my opinion, if you're going to go to Spring X for the first time,
In a team setting.
you better have some bad motherfuckers with you.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you right now, T was like, hey, let's go. Oh, fuck you.
The 2-man is completely different than the 4-man.
I don't care.
It all just depends on which feature one and done
Yeah.
you get into.
No shit.
Because Chad Bostic was sending that bitch yesterday. Sending it.
To
One
Jesus.
one guy went after Griff, and it was gone until he couldn't go no more. Seeing Griff step up like that, from that youth class, and a few of the
Was in a car, didn't think he was
grown-ups.
going to be in.
No, I didn't think he was going to be in a Ford. I didn't have a clue.
Oh,
But I was sitting there thinking, hold on, 80s and newer.
yeah. He hated the metric GM.
Yeah, no, he broke everything in the Metric GM, and I'm pretty sure Chad said, nah, you're not taking another Metric ever.
Right.
Unless that's the only option. But would you rather go to Chaos?
Not if I had to line up across from Derek Court.
Or do you sit there and say, you know what, messing with the local shit for a little bit longer might be what we need?
Which I don't know. If I lined up across from Derek Court and he did that to me, like me and him might have to roll around afterwards.
It's easy. Don't let him do that to you.
I would have turned my driver's door right toward him.
Yes.
I
Hit me
mean,
in the door, fuck you.
100%.
Or in the passenger door.
No. He can have all his driver door.
That's one guy. I think his balls overran his brain.
Yeah, and I bet afterwards he was like, "Fuck, I shouldn't have done that."
That was stupid. That was real stupid.
But anyway, go back to what you were doing. Sorry, I got squirrel.
Crazy show last week, crazy show this week. Both of them, DerbyNation.tv. All for Him's racing video. Just finished up his 2024 hard hits. It is on YouTube. Just go to all 4, All for Him racing videos. Subscribe on his YouTube channel. I don't know, there's 150,000 subscribers or whatever it is. Go watch his 2024.
He's always good for a video. I mean, that dude is an editing genius.
Yes, he is. Yeah, and you'll see some dumb, crazy shit.
Love it.
So,
and next week we will talk a little bit about Quincy.
Yep.
Old Hog Ink himself took the dub up there.
Yep. In his old leftover Catalina.
Yep. Looked like Wyatt Shores got his first dub.
Yep. First win. Some Walden boys from Hannibal got back on the track for the first time in a few years.
Heard that they had a really good show. Heard it was fair. So good to see that.
Yes.
Locally. We like that.
They'll be going over to Palmyra August 1st. I've already I'm leaving early that day to go over there.
Wish I could have got back a little earlier because I was supposed to go help them tech that show.
Yep.
I still feel like an asshole over that. It is what it is. They understand.
Well, you get an extra day off this week, so let's let you get to the family and get caught up.
You got to go do a little fishing.
Then I'm going to take the daughter fishing, and then I'm going to get loaded up to head to Kearney, Nebraska.
Hell yeah, boy.
Got any last words?
Nope.
Make jump, boys. DerbyNation.tv is your one-stop shop for your Demolition Derby pay-per-view needs. With a schedule like no other, you can catch all the shows you want to watch at the touch of a button from the comfort of your living room without leaving your house. But pay-per-view derbies aren't the only thing that they can get you. You can also carry a monthly subscription to watch the ever-growing Derby Builds, where you get all the behind-the-scenes action on different build processes with the Derby Builds team, including team show cars and even some national level youth builds.
And if you can't make it to that big show in person, go ahead, host that shop watch party, and let DerbyNation.tv bring excitement of Demolition Derby action straight to your shop live on your TV.